Today about what drives my behavior. This is something that God has done a lot of work in my life, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. 3 things can drive your behavior, and the first one is worldview. And as you can see, there's some pictures up here that symbolize things like your behavior could be driven by what you wear, or do you have the latest shoes, the latest fashion? Is your behavior driven by money? Is that what you're seeking? Or do you have to have the best job? You have to be the doctor, the lawyer, or the perfect stay-at-home mom? Do you have to be the best at sports? Is that what you always want to excel in? And it could be just materialistic things like cars, cell phones. It also can be your personal feelings. And this can be how you feel about yourself, your body image. Oh, well, I'm not feeling okay with myself today, so I'm not going to go out anywhere. That drives your behavior. Or do you feel like you have to be perfect? You always have to have everything all together, looks the part, or do you just think that you're never good enough? Or you could be driven by God. And God makes it pretty obvious what He wants us to be driven by Him. In 1 John 2:15 through 17, God says, "Stop loving the evil world and all that it offers you. For when you love the world, you show that you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers you only lust for physical pleasure, the lust for everything we see, and pride in our possessions." That definitely is what used to drive my behavior. And God goes on to say, "These are not from the Father. They are from this evil world, and the world is fading away along with everything it craves. But if you do the will of God, you will live forever." In high school, I was driven by what I thought I had to be, this popular girl. I thought I had to be cheerleading captain. I thought I had to be homecoming queen. And so that's a picture of me in high school. And then in college, I thought I had to be this, picture-perfect mold of a sorority girl. I had to be really smart, get a 4.0. And then also in my life, was totally dominated by horses. I love horses. They are amazing creatures, and I showed them for almost my entire life, but it became my God. And I had success with this. I won the largest horse show in the world, but somehow all of this wasn't enough. I was never satisfied. So I was like, oh, I'll start to tackle my body. I'll go on a diet, get fit, and it turned into anorexia. And I've been struggling with anorexia for about 3 years, and this is me 9 months ago. And I've been in treatment 6 times, and the biggest difference, I would say, is how God changed me. The first 5 treatments, I was kind of I got myself into this mess, I'm going to get myself out. I don't want anybody's help. I can do it on my own. I'm fine. And the last treatment, God really intervened, and He showed me that I needed to go with a posture like this. And it really became clear that I needed God, and He needed to be my driving force. In Proverbs 3:5 through 8, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones." And that is literally what God did for me. At my 5th treatment, they discharged me and said that I was a chronic case. They thought that I was never going to get better. I came home, and my therapist also told me that she thought I was going to die. She actually called me walking dead. And at that point, I had pretty much given up on God. I was like, I went from being mad and angry to just whatever. Disconnected, didn't care, was just totally lost. And I would still go to church, and I would still smile and sing along and act like everything was great because that's what I thought was expected of me, and trying to be the perfect person, but really I was just so broken inside. And at this point I started to view myself not as a person, but as an eating disorder. And so I went to my therapist, and she was like, I think one last treatment center might take you. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not going. Like, doesn't matter if they'll take me or not. And then I hit my low point. It was my mother's birthday, and I was sitting in her lap in the recliner, and she was crying so hard. I could feel the tears just coming on me. And I was kind of like, oh, like, whatever, Mom, like, stop. And my dad, like this big, like, gruff, tough guy, was just weeping. And my sister was there, and she was crying too. And they were just, like, mourning. And I was totally blacked out and numbed out that I was like, thought nothing was wrong. And I was like, whatever. And that night, I went and laid in my bed, and I was having chest pain, shortness of breath, my muscles were tightening. I literally thought I was going to die. And I was like, well, I haven't prayed in a while, but, you know, maybe I could pray now. And I thought it would be too much to ask God to let me, you know, live and beat my eating disorder. So I was like, I'll just pray that I wake up tomorrow. So I did, and I woke up and talked to my parents, and they were like, okay, if you get a full scholarship, you have to promise to go to this treatment facility. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. If I get a full scholarship, there's no way I'm going to get a scholarship. And they're like, okay, well, you promise. I'm like, yeah. Well, the reason I wouldn't go to treatment is because I didn't think my family could afford it. To pay for the last 5 treatments that I was in, my family sold my horse. We sold our farm in Kentucky. We used my college fund and my Roth IRA. We used my parents' retirement fund. We sold our RV. We had mortgage loans and equity line of credit on our house. And my parents had met with a bankruptcy attorney multiple times to file for bankruptcy. And it didn't just affect my family financially, it affected us in every aspect. My mom fell into depression. She would just go days and just lay in her bed, not move. And my dad's blood pressure skyrocketed, and it affected my life like I didn't really have a life. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any social life. I wouldn't answer emails. I wouldn't answer my phone. I would just sit in my room and isolate. I couldn't read for comprehension. I couldn't hold a job. Like, I had nothing. And still, with all of that, I was reluctant to go until God gave me his gift. He gave me a full scholarship to this treatment facility and a plane ticket there. And I think, looking back now, if there was a glint of success or even a hope of success at home, there's no way I would have gone. But God drew me to him because I didn't have anything left to hold on to. And so on the plane ride, I finally realized God has his hand in this. This is way out of my control. So I surrendered to God. And when I was doing that, this phrase kept popping in my head: let go and let God. Let go and let God work. Let go and let God. And that kind of became my mantra that I would say over and over again. And God took me through his steps to recovery, not mine, because if it was my way, we wouldn't have gone through this. We would just, oh, you're better. And this is the way that worked, because God had his will. The first